live and code a little bit on what? On Ruby on Rails. So we will make sure that our it's called file attachments. Right. So we will make sure that our students jump in here. So we will set up a meet and get them in here. So that will take a second. Yes, it will take a second or perhaps 2 seconds. Let's see. So let's just get that out of the way. Channel, let's talk file attachments. Right, there we go. And let's see if the boys will jump in, and I will just also inform our good friends here in Agile Ventures that we will be doing this. Now we have some people joining the stream. That's great.
Best to head on over to Twitch.
Yes, you will have to head over to Twitch because we can't really share this, or perhaps I can share this actually on this one. Right, I can actually share this, but I would love you to be on Twitch anyway, if possible. All right, so let's see, we are missing at least 2 people, right? But we will join in. Let's do a little bit of small talk first, if possible.
No, how's mine?
What?
Nothing. That's a nice emoji.
I won.
Okay. Oh, are you? What?
Hey guys.
Hello. You're gonna have to redo this because
Thomas, I had a really awkward comment yesterday when you wrote like lite cheesy, men jag gillar den. Kram på er alla. I read it totally like with one eye yesterday, and I'm like, vi gillar dig tillbaka. Jag tänkte skriva igen. Jag bara vänta, jag läser en gång till. And I read, I'm like, I remove it.
It's okay. It's all right. All right,
It
boys.
was really awkward.
Let's talk file attachments. Okay. So quite often in your applications, especially in the context of building a newspaper or news application, right? You probably want to attach some images to your models. And by the way, Luke, thank you for the sub. I appreciate that a lot.
You're the only one I kind of watch at the moment, so you're getting it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Right. So we often want to attach some images to our models one way or another, right? So we can display them. And luckily for us, and this is Rails specific, luckily for us, Ruby on Rails provides us with fantastic functionality to do just that. And I will show you how to do this in Ruby on Rails, but the concepts are fairly generic. There are other mechanisms that you can do if you want to do this in other frameworks like Node.js or whatever you are working with at any given point. Now, this will not be a code along demo. This will be a note along demo, as Krista coined that expression. And the reason for the note along is because there is actually no course documentation regarding this, okay? So there is documentation scattered all over the place on Rails and all of that stuff, right? So, but what we want to do is to bond, get all of these things together and actually build this. And I want you to learn to do it from me because I think that we have a fairly good workflow, fairly good way of attaching those things, and also doing it in a test-driven, acceptance unit test cycle-driven way. Okay, so that's why I want you to do that. Now, if I'm not totally mistaken, I already have your application somewhere, right? Let's have a look. This is my terminal.
Are you gonna record this?
This is being recorded, and there will be a YouTube upload with this.
Nice.
So I will send that YouTube clip to you. Okay.
Yes.
Right. So we have the fake news API. So we're going to work on this on the API side first. All right. So I'm gonna jump into your code and git branch. Yeah, right. So git checkout development and git remote -v just to see. Yes, I have upstream. So git pull upstream development. Really? Fetch upstream. Right. So we should be good on that now. So git pull upstream development, and you know the drill, right, folks? As soon as you get some new stuff, you have to bundle just to make sure that you get all the latest dependencies. You have to run Rails DB migrate, so you get the up-to-date database schema, so there's nothing that is not happening and could not connect to the server. Right. Awesome.
Love this PG shit.
Yeah.
I think this was just starting the server. That worked on mine.
Brew services. Can you say restart PostgreSQL?
You're missing the T as well and restart.
Restart. Let's try that. Yeah, let's.
I think iTunes wants something from you, Thomas.
What?
iTunes keeps popping up and down at the top of the screen.
Yeah. What do you want?
Окей.
No, we're gonna cancel.
Да, можете взять.
Okay, we're gonna mute Seva. There we go. No problems. All right. Still getting this thing. Okay, I actually, this has happened before. This is not the first time this has happened to me, but I think that I was smart enough to actually document how to fix that.
Trista should remember all this, right?
Trista should remember all of this. You never know.
Maybe.
Post could not connect the server. No such file or folder. Right. So brew services list, background brew post screenshots. This is not it. This is not it. At least I don't think so.
Database.
Postgres issues. This is the one. Right. I need to remove this. Right. Because the PID file is missing, and now I need to restart. And thank you for the following. The code 18. Thank you. Code 18. All right. So let's see if this worked now. Come on. We don't want to get stuck on this kind of config bullshit. Awesome. We're up and running. So we're just going to run rspec and hope for green stuff. Let's hope for the green stuff to come along. Yes. This really sucks. There we go. Much better. Okay, we're in green state. That's great, folks. So let's branch off. Git check out a new branch, and I will just call this one image attachment. Right. And I will open this up in my IDE. And here we go. Right? Here we go. Right, so let's close all of this stuff. Let's close this. There's no need to deal with that at this point. Okay, so what is it that I want to do? Let's have a look at the specs that are already there. Can authenticate based on user role. That's it. Can respond with a list of article. Can show single article. We do not have anything about creating articles yet in this one. There is a PR pending for this, or am I mistaken here?
Correct.
Correct, I'm mistaken, or correct, there is a PR pending?
Correct, there's a PR.
All right.
It's the one. There was just a little refactoring, so you could merge it if you want.
I could merge this in. So let's have a look at the fake news API. Here we go. And there is one pull request on this. API provides admin functionality to create article. Okay. And we already reviewed this one. It was very nice and tidy, neat and sweet. User is a journalist. Status 4.3. That's it. And what was the change that we requested?
It was to refactor the unless.
Yeah, you should have moved this one also.
Before action.
I wanted you to move this one, but it doesn't matter. Never mind. With missing params. Okay, this one is ready to go. This one is good. Looks good. So I'm gonna. Looks great. And then I'm gonna do an emoji, and I'm gonna say, not the vomiting one, right? We're gonna do this one today. I feel lucky.
Awesome.
So, yeah. Yeah, it is awesome. You're doing a fantastic job, people. So this one is merged. We can get this one out of the way. Right. So I can actually close this. Right. And so here we just want to pull from upstream again. So we get the latest code. And we're good to go. And then if I do RSpec, we should be able to get all these beautiful tests going green. Look, nicely formatted. Everything is just nice and dandy, folks. You got this. You got this. You're talented. I'm
unsuccessful. That needs a
due to missing parameters, but we can always refactor small things here and there later. Okay.
Blinded by the green.
Yeah. You see how nice it is when we follow standards and conventions. You have these routes here. This one is actually not properly formatted, so it should just say colon category. To be honest, in this particular thing here, right? But it's really good. It's really good.
Good job, boys.
Yeah. Yep. Good job. Really good job. So now that we have the functionality to actually create an image, we are doing what? Auth. Why is this journalist can create article spec in the auth subfolder?
Well, because it didn't deal with articles, but rather with the journalist. But it does deal with it. I'm not. Yeah, that's a good question. Good question, Thomas.
All right. Yes, it is a good question. Actually, it is a good question.
It can actually be. Yeah.
All right. So the thing is that here we're in a position where we could potentially write a totally new spec, and because we will test the image attachment functionality, and in a feature, in a more traditional feature test environment, we would probably do that. But here we're testing an endpoint, right? We're testing a post request to this API articles, right? So we're not going to write a new test. We will modify this one, okay? And we will modify it in a way that will basically extend the functionality, and it will start failing for us because it will look for things that are simply not there. Do you understand? So I will now add a test that will ask me to add more, add some an image to this one, right? So we will just pass in here image, and what should that image be? I know that because I've done this before, and I come prepared to my demos, right?
It's an object. Maybe.
It's an object. It is an object, but what sort of an object? This is an object that it's an image that will be encoded. It will not be, images are, to us, they're like, kittens, portraits, or ancestors or whatever, right? But to a computer, it's just a set of binary data. Do you understand? It's a completely different thing than what we kind of think of it. We will say something like the image will be an image, but the image will be something like this. Let image, we're going to use this notation, that will be do end, because it will be multi-line actually, so do end. And here we will basically add an array, and this can be a bit weird for you. This is a stub, do you understand? So it won't be a real image, but it will be an array, and that array will hold one object. Oh, hello people. Hello Anya. It will be an object, and that object will provide an image that is encoded using base 64 encoding. I will talk a little bit more about that. So that usually looks something like this. It has a type, and that type in this case will be application JSON. It could be PNG or whatever. Application JPEG, sorry, JPEG, and then it uses some sort of an encoder, and that would be just base 64, and then you will have some data, and data is the actual image. Sorry, messing up. Data is the actual image data, and so I will just add some random string here. It doesn't really matter what it is because we're just using this for test purposes. But a base 64 encoded string is huge. It's really big, of course, depending on how big the image is. Do you understand that? Of course. And then you add another thing that is called extension, and the extension in this case will be JPEG, but it could be whatever else, right? So we're going to send this in with our request. And then, of course, you are asking, but how do we get that on our front end? That is not in scope for today's talk. I will show you how, but not today. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. the important thing here in this request spec is that you pretend that you already know how to get this base64 encoded image. We will deal with how to encode that image in a separate talk. But we know, and trust me on this, we know that this image, even though it's only a singleton, only one image, it comes wrapped in an array. It just does that. Okay? All right. So if this is working for us, then we could potentially write a test that says something like article count, right, and that it is expected to add an article that, right, and we can say it is expected to have an image attached. And so I will say article equals article, the last one that we just created. You know, if this actually works, then we will have a new article, right, and then we can say expect article dot image dot attached question mark to equal true. So if this works, if we can send in the image like this, and then our active record object, our article, should respond to a method called image, and that method in turn should respond to attached question mark. Do you understand that?
Yep.
Yes.
Right. And yeah, so let's work with that. Basically, let's see if this one fails. It should fail, right? So we're gonna do rspec spec request specs auth, right? No, API auth. For some reason, look, you can ask Lucas why. Did you say? Does your throat hurt? Huh?
There's something in there.
Yeah. And that's journalists can create article spec, and we want to run this one on line 41. This is the relevant one. Okay. So we're just gonna run this 41. Yay. Right. No method error. Undefined method image for article. That's pretty self-evident, isn't it? Because there is no such thing. So we want to abandon this for a second, and we want to go to our model specs. I mean, it doesn't work. Our acceptance test, or the request spec doesn't work. So we need to take a look at the article spec, and we need to say something that we want to describe the logo, the image. Sorry. So we're going to say describe, and we will say image. So image is an instance method, so we just want to say this, and we can say that we want to create a subject, a specific subject for this describe block. That's the way I test it. There are many ways to test this, but I will say subject would be the create article, and that would be the dot image. And here I will add an it block, and I can say something like this beauty. Look at this beautiful code. It is expected to be an instance of ActiveStorage attached, and then 1. because I will only attach one image to our article. You could potentially say, but Thomas, we want multiple images. Well, then you can have multiple images, but you came into my talk and I'm gonna do one image, so you're gonna have to live with this. And again, I'm just gonna reiterate, we do not need to require Rails helper, just so you know that now. Even if Rails scaffolds it for us, we can safely remove that. Why? Anyone?
We call it in this. I can't remember which file, but we make it global. Yeah.
Am I not sharing my screen? Are you seeing something else than I'm seeing?
Yeah,
It's right there.
That's right.
RSpec,
In the .rspec file. Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Right. So now we want to run this one. We failed on the request spec, right? Now we want to run the model spec. So we're gonna run the one on line 20. Okay. Okay. And you go like, why is he so picky by just running one spec at a time? Well, because it's good. It's good practice for you. Spec, model, article, and line 20. That's the one I want to see fail for me first. If it passes, we have a problem. Undefined method image. Okay, and here comes the beauty, people. In Ruby on Rails, as we say in Poland, with a Polish accent. I should speak one more with a Polish accent. That will give me more clout.
I want to hear more of the kurwa machos.
Yes.
That's added.
Remember, we might have underage audience, so we need to keep this
we're on
civil.
Twitch too.
In Polish.
In Polish, yeah.
Keep it in Polish.
We need to.
I'm sure there's minus in Poland as well, to be fair.
Right. Are you with me? Because this will not take very long to set up, so we need to be vigilant here and pay attention. In my model, which in this case is called article, we add this thing. Has one attached image. Okay? That's it.
Okay. Not file.
Has one.
Image. Okay.
Yes. In its core, that's it. Pretty much. So let's run this line 20 here. Well, it might fail still because there must be more things. Well, it wasn't.
Does the number change depending on how many images the article has?
Well,
I just like
there has one.
Yeah.
And
one has many.
Has many.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So in this case we have one, and therefore this passes for us. Just it's if there is anything attached, then this is an instance of ActiveStorage attached one, and that's it. Now let's see if we can run the request spec. Okay, that was failing for us. We'll see. You see, ActiveStorage attachment reckless does not exist. These things are not. They do not exist for us yet. So we need to make them happen. Right.
Sorry, could I just ask before that? When you created the article, you did .image. What kind of? That's some built-in thing.
No, I can say
in unit spec. I mean,
in my unit spec here.
On line 21 there. .image.
Yeah, because I called it image. We can say photo. We can call it photo.
Okay.
And then I will change this.
That attaches
photo.
it.
Photo.
Okay.
I can call it foobar.
All right.
And then I would have to call it foobar here.
I get the point.
And that, so you name this yourself,
Right. Okay, cool.
Because you can call this, certificate. You could, you can attach anything. You can, that is a file, a PDF file or whatever, So we just want to call this image at this stage, I guess. Right. Yes. Now we got an error. What was the error? What was the error? I forgot already. It was, yes, because those attachments don't apply.
Exist.
They do not exist. So let's have a look at that. Now, one way of fixing this error, I know how to do this, but I can show you. Hold on a second. Active storage. Yeah. So let's say active storage Rails 6, for instance. Right. So we have an overview of active storage here. How to attach one or many files to a record, how to delete an attached file, and so on. So if you want to know more about how to do all of this, then I will be very happy to provide you with a link to this course document, to this documentation. Okay, but there is something here that I need to do that I don't remember how to do. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it.
Is it the ActiveStorage install migration thing?
Yeah, migrations, right. Right. Where is that? Where is that install? Why am I not seeing that?
I think no two ends migration.
Yeah. Wow, come on. Rails active storage install. Right, of course. It's coming back to me now, people. So Rails active.
G, I think.
Huh?
Rails G? Yeah.
No.
We're not generate. Okay.
I have storage install.
I'm just looking at my notes.
Copied migration, right? So Rails, that's copied the migration, right? And now we just do Rails db migrate, and we are we can run this again, and we'll see what's up. We should get a different error message, right? So we get a different error message. Instead of true, we got false because it wasn't attached. And the reason for that is, of course, because we don't deal with that on the controller level yet. So all the configuration is done, and in our articles controller, where we actually create this action, there we go. You didn't extract this.
No, that was the part that we needed for the PR.
Okay, but I merged it already, so we're gonna extract that in a separate PR.
What the next time?
Right, in a refactoring or whatever. Right, so in this case, we need to do something about this. First of all, we probably need to sanitize this this parameter, right? So we probably need to add this sanitation, but we will say this keys and then image like this. So that's the first part of that, and then let's see what happens if we get that. Well, these error messages aren't really good at this, to be honest. To have an I misspelled that. To have should be have, right? Those error messages aren't that very good. So, but let's see what if this error message changes in any way. No, it did not. That's a bit unusual to be Rails, you know, because those error messages are usually better than what we're getting here. But what I want to do is this in my controller. Again, the controller is the heart of the entire operation here, right? You know that. So we want to stop the debugger here. If this is persisted, we actually, well, okay, let's think about it. We want to add the, this is simple, so we have to say attach image, and we're just gonna pass in the article here. So we're gonna create a new method like this, and in this method here we want to say, you know, we want to check if there is an image of, you know, to begin with, because not every article will have an image. So we will say if params see image is present, if there is a parameter like this, then we want to use a service. Can I just do a ternary operator instead? Can I do that here like this? So we're gonna, you know, we wanna add, we're gonna make an extraction of this functionality to a service that I usually call this decode service, because we're decoding the image one way or another. So I'm just gonna call it decode service, and I'm gonna call this attach image, and we're just gonna pass in the params image, you know, the stuff that we get in base 64, and we're just gonna say article dot image like this. So here we only want to respond with this if this is a journalist. No, sorry, if this is persisted, if do we want to respond with this, sorry about that, if the article is persisted and the article and is actually attached to this one, you know. Otherwise we just want to do something else, right? Which might not be exact the logic you are looking for, but something like that at least. Right, so let's have a look at this at the decode service. Now in my app folder I want to create a new folder, subfolder, that I'm going to call services, like this. And this is a bit opinionated, you know, coming from me, nobody else. So other people might do other stuff, but I do it this way. And you know, it's my stream, so I can do whatever. I guess. And so the decode service will be a module. So I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call this decode service.rb. And I will just create a module. And modules are, you know, classes that cannot be subclassed, of course, or instantiated. So we're just going to wrap some code in here, and then I'm going to define a method for this. This will not be used as a mixin, but rather in itself. And so I'm gonna, that's hence the prefix of self. And I'm just gonna say attach image, and I will allow this to take 2 arguments. First the file, which is the base64 version, and then the target, and the target will be the article.image, basically. And so let's have a look at that. Right. So, let's see. So we do this in proper order. So here we want to add another end because I'm fucking things up here. Right. Right. Okay. So we will set a binding pry here and run our test. Pretty much. Let me just check the controller so I'm doing the right thing. Params doesn't decode service attach image params. Right. Okay. So let's run our test. This is the request spec now. So we're actually sending some data in here, and this will save you massive amount of time because otherwise you would have to attach files and change, check if they actually work or not. So this one is not working out for me yet. So binding.pry. Let's see what we get. There we go. Right. So the question at hand is, I don't know if somebody's scratching themselves or something, but it makes a lot of noise in my ears. This is not present. So let's have a look at the params. Right. And params image is nil. Why not? Right. So we're getting this as a. That's weird. Oh. Yeah, of course, because it's not. It's params article image. Right. Mea culpa. I forgot that we're wrapping this. Yes, now it says true, right? So I could also do article params image probably. Article. What were our article params? Right, so this one is actually not allowing this yet. Okay, so this is wrong. So what if, we don't want. Yeah, that's yeah. Because it's a collection, right? So that's why we need the keys. So we can't.
But is it a collection if it's just one object? Can you just remove the array?
Well, it's not one object. That's the thing. It is not one object. If you look at this, it's an array. You see? It's an array.
But should it be? That's
well, I know that that's the way we get it from the front end. I know that for a fact. It's an array when we get it from the front end. So we need to mimic it would be much easier for us if this was just one actually perhaps we should call this images or something.
We can't send it off not as an array from the front end.
Well, we don't know that yet.
Okay.
Unfortunately, so that's a bit of a problem. But anyway, let's Yes. Images. I would actually call this images because it's a collection. I know that it's a collection. So, but keys. Let's have a look. What's the images? Right. Let's quit this and let's rerun this again. And we'll take a look at article params, and it doesn't look anything like this. No, so forget about that. That's right. But here we have the binding pry now, because we did change that to this, right? So this decode service is kicking in. Yes, and we are in this decode service now, as you can clearly see, right?
Nice.
Is everyone on board with that so far? I mean, I will repeat, most of these things, but try to tag along on this one. Right. So we have a file, and the file, what is the file object? Because we did send in two things here, right? The file is nil, boring, and the target is what?
It's got some
this. Sorry, but it's this attachment, right? Go ahead, Lucas, you were saying.
Just on line 45, when you pass it params, it also needs the article.
Yes, good stuff. Good stuff. That's exactly what it needs. So I can remove this binding pry now, and I will stop this, and I will rerun the test. And you see how amazing it is to have tests, because now you can hammer out these things. Without automated tests, you will be pretty much fucked.
Nice.
Pardon my Polish. Pardon my Polish. I know. I should not speak like this. I know that. All right. So now we have this thing, and we have the data and the thing, right? So we need to get the first one. So the question is, do we want to say the first here, or do I want to iterate over this? Now I could build. Now in this case, we're just gonna attach one image, but we could build this function so we can attach multiple images. Do you understand? If we want that. But the question is that premature optimization or not? Should I send in just dot first into this message? Like, this guy should only deal with the image that he's supposed to attach at any given moment, right? In my opinion. But there's a decision to be made here. I'm leaning to. Yeah, go on.
I guess that could depend on the user story, and if the user story says image should have, or article should have one image, maybe then you go for that.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna pass in the first iteration. We know it's an array, and I'm just gonna pass in the first one. That's what I'm gonna do. So we're gonna quit this again, and again we're gonna run this thingy, and we should be good to go on this one. At this point, we have the file, and the name file implies that it's a singleton, so should do that. Okay, so we have this thing like this. These are the ones that we need. This is what we will get from the backend, probably. Who knows? We'll see. Okay, so let's see if we can decode this data to now there is a problem, of course. In this setting, this is enough. The problem is that we will get those parameters as a string, so it will probably look like stringify. Can we do that? Can we do stringify? No. How do you stringify in Ruby? I don't know. To JSON? params, no, file to JSON. Right, we're probably gonna get something like this from our front end. We will not get this as an object. We will get this as a string. So there's a small difference between our test and at least at this point, and real life. And tests should mimic real life as much as possible. But we need to be aware of this at the moment, and we can deal with this later. For now, we're just gonna go with that. This is basically what we get from the front end. But yeah, okay. So let's have a look at the image data. Image data is the one that is no image file data. Sorry, file data. File data is this, which is of course not a real image in any way. Okay, so but what we want to do is that we want to decode this data. So we're going to use, because this is base 64 encoded data. Okay, so we want to use a module that is called base 64, and we want to decode this using this 64 encoder or decoder, and we're just going to say image data.
Fine.
Of course, thank you. Data. And this will not, not be anything but a series of these weird weird characters. Okay. It doesn't really matter for us in the testing perspective, out of the testing perspective for now, but that's exactly what we need to do. So we're going to take this and we're going to go to our decode service, and we're going to do that like decoded data equals base 64 encoded this, and then we want to do some tech stuff. Okay. All right, we want to attach this. We want to create this into an image and attach this, and I will show you there are 3 lines of code that we need to do, and that is we have to create a new variable, and we will create a new object from a class called string IO. So we're just going to create this like this, and then we want to print to this string the decoded data, and then we want to do something that I have no clue what it does. That's rewind, which I don't ask me why. But the interesting part comes now. We want to get the target, and the target is the image, that we just passed in, and we want to attach. And here comes some other weird shit. So IO is IO, and then file name can be anything, I guess, but it needs to have the extension, and we know that the extension exists, so we're just going to call it attachment, and then we're just going to string interpolate, and we're going to say dot and string interpolate the file extension like this. Right, and we're going to move the binding pry here, and just so you can see here, we can see like file is still this. It has an extension JPEG. You see that, right? So that will add the extension to this attachment, and so this is a good example of me not peeking underneath the hood. I know that this is the way to do this, and to be honest, I don't know really exactly what it does for me. and I don't feel that I need to know.
I agree.
I'm just, you know, I'm being very transparent here. Sometimes I just don't care like knowing. It gets the job done, and it's a fairly decent solution.
Yep.
Okay, let's see if we can run this again. Okay, so we can quit this, and we still got false here, right? Because we were just playing around, and we're gonna run this again, and we got an error. So extension, why file
Squares, maybe. Square
of
bracket.
course. All right, let's do it again and hope for a better solution, better result. Right, so now we can just see what is the target, and target image record user ID. I don't know. Let's quit this. Oh, good, it goes green.
It works.
It works. Magic. A little bit now. So the key thing here is now. So there is a simpler way to do this if we were in a monolith where we are dealing with everything not being sent to us over the network. It is, however, sent to us over the network, and therefore we need to deal with this. The beauty of this thing is the attach thing. Do you understand? Like this is the method that comes from this module that you need to note down. It's called ActiveStorage. That's what it does basically. And now if I run my entire create article spec, it attaches this thing, and if I run my model specs, we shouldn't get any errors either. Right. Okay. So git status. Yes. Git add dot git ci am configures active storage, configures active storage, updates article model to have one attachment, adds decode service. Yes, for base 64 encoded images for attachment of base 64 encoded images. That would be this. Okay, now the problem, perhaps or not, I don't know, could arise when you check your factories, for instance, right? If you validate presence of image and stuff like that, then your factories will be a bit of a hassle. So one could, in principle, argue that you can set up your factory in a slightly different way than you have now. Pay attention, because this one is important. Now here, you know, even though if you don't validate or anything like this. Hello UT, doing all good, doing a little bit of Ruby on Rails and image attachments at the moment. So what we want to do here is to basically say that once this factory has sort of done what it's supposed to do, then we want to have an after hook here. So after build, but before create, I don't know. Let's just do it like this. We will just have the object, or we can call it article or whatever. And here we can do certain things, like we can say file equals file. Yeah, we can do file equals, and then we can say, we can have a fixture of something. So we can say file dot open. This is pure Ruby for now, right? File open, and then Rails root. The Rails root is the root path of the Rails application, and then we can say join, and we can just pass in. Let's say we have our fixtures in spec fixtures, so we would say spec, and then comma fixtures, and then let's say that we have an image there that is called, dummy or default photo, for instance, right? And let's say it's going to be a PNG for the time being, right? So we don't have that, so this will error out, but I will fix that in a second. And then in another line, on the other little line, we just say object, and pretty much the same thing as we did in the decode service. We say attach, but we don't have to go through this base64 encoding, because it's going to be a PNG that is actually stored in our file system. Do you understand? So we can just say IO, and that will be the file, and then the next thing is just file name, very similar to what we did before, and we would say default article image dot png. In this case, we don't have to inject anything because we know already what it will be, and then we just say content type. I don't even know if we need to do this, but I'm just going to say image png, like this. Yeah. So now if I run my article spec, this will probably fail because there is no such image here, right? But we're going to run this nonetheless. This should fail. Yes. No such file or directory. sysopen users Thomas Hoffman, fake news API spec fixtures photo, misspelled here, defile photo. Right, but there is no fixtures file. So we're just gonna create one that is called fixtures, and we're just gonna download an image of something, right? And like, I don't know, fake news. Right. So we're just gonna save image as, and then I'm just gonna go to downloads, default. Is that a PNG, by the way? No, that's a JPEG. Sorry. Cancel. So we just do PNG. Right. Which one should I take? Let's just take this one. Is this a PNG? PNG transparent, yes. Right, so save image as, right. Default. Right, so that's in downloads. I'm just gonna move this out. Come on, what are you doing? Where am I? Right. So let me see this. Show in Finder. There we are. So I'm just gonna move this into the fixtures folder like this, and we have that, and we're gonna run this test again, and hopefully it goes green. No, we did not. Attach. Right, of course, because I messed up.
Attach image.
Object image attach, image dot attach. There we go.
Attach image, I think. Huh?
Once again.
Well, we called it attach image somewhere else, but that was in the controller maybe.
Yeah, that's my own method. But in the decode service, the target is already the image. Do you understand?
There's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I would, if in my controller, if I want to say, attach image, but the decode. Right. You see, I'm passing in this image here, so I can say I just pass in the article. Then I have to say the same thing. It's actually perhaps better if I do this image like this, so it's consistent with what we're doing less. This depends on what you're passing into this service. But this is actually better. I would say that this is better. I can, I'm man enough to change my mind. It should work anyway, and the decode service should work also. Right. Let's see. Yes. So now this one is attached. Yeah.
Could I see the factory once again? Sorry.
Sure. If I just can find it. There it is. Right, so we have after build, and probably I'm gonna just change this to, what? Article, right?
Right.
It could be an instance or whatever, you can call it whatever, right? But it refers to self, it refers to the thing that we're currently working on.
You could call it A, like shorthand for article.
No, I don't think you could. I think you should avoid doing that. But I don't know.
Could, Lucas.
You could.
But
you would end up on my shit list. And you don't want to do that. Well, I don't know. Perhaps you do. I don't know. Who am I to judge, right? Okay, so that would be that. Let's do a commit, because there's a little thing left here. Because again, as I said, this might not be the case. You will not get that nicely formatted thing as a request, or with your request. But anyway, let's just do git status here. Right, git add dot git. What did we do? No diff. Okay, git. What did we do? We changed the articles controller. Right, refactors the articles controller, refactors the decode service, and updates factory. Right. Git ciam refactors use of params in controller, refactors decode service to take the whole model and active record model, and then we said updates factory for article to attach image dummy image after build. Right. I think that would be that. Okay, so the question now is, where are these things stored? Where are these things stored? And they are stored in a folder that could be in temp storage, and you get all of these things here, kind of, that are not really relevant. You can't really see them because they are, I guess, encoded or something. But we don't want to store them in our own file, our own file system. I have trouble talking because I didn't get enough sleep tonight. or something. Yes.
Amazon.
So this streaming business is really hard. Så internetlägg bara där borta någonstans så förtar det sig. Okej. Ja, är ni färdiga för idag eller? Okej. All right, vi hörs sen då. What we need to do is to make sure that we don't store this in our file system, and the reason for that is because we use Heroku as an infrastructure as a service provider, which has a file system that you cannot write to. Do you know this, by the way, by any chance? No, but then you're gonna have to trust me. Now, when you deploy once you have deployed your app, you cannot write to the file system on Heroku and have that being persisted. You can write to it for a brief period of time, like I don't know, a minute or two, and then it will be purged or something, right? But you can't store things on Heroku. What we need to do is to set up Amazon Web Services to store our attachments on Amazon. Or then this is nice, very nice actually. You can store this on multiple different services. There is a settings file that is called storage YAML in our config folder, where we can set this. You see, we have those three environments: test, development, and production, right? Now, if we are in production, then we probably don't want to store things on our disks or local, because we want to store them, because we want them persistent. Therefore, we can use, for instance, Amazon Web Services. Okay, or, and this is nice, your ActiveStorage library has support for many of the popular storage services out there. For instance, you can set up DigitalOcean out of the box. You can set up Azure. You can also set up the Google storage service, and so on. So in the documentation, you can find a lot of these settings. Okay. Now, in the next part of this demo, I will actually show you how we can set this up using Amazon and the S3 buckets. It's a fantastic name, because it's pretty straightforward, to be honest, but we can't really do it right now, simply because I don't have my access keys with me, because I'm very careful with my access keys nowadays. So
I think I pushed them up somewhere if you want.
You push up my access. I've done this, been there, don't want to do it again. But it's pretty straightforward to set this up. But your task will be to go through these steps that I just outlined, and make sure that you can enhance your active record model for your articles to have one attached image. You can call it whatever you want and so on. The lowest hanging fruit here is to have one attached and then have it stored in your local file. Spin up your Rails application, have your client or something work against that in a local setup first. But before we part, we need to change our decode service a little bit. So example of base 64 encoded image. Oh, this is pretty good. Yeah, I can drag and drop images. That's fantastic, isn't it? That's great. That's really good service. Let's take the... Where's my dummy image? Where's my file? There it is. Right, so downloads, and we're gonna take this default photo and drop it here. And we can say show code. Right. So this is the actual image, base 64 encoded. So I'm going to copy this one to clipboard, and I'm going to use this in my file, in my tests. This way, I'm going to say what? I'm going to go to fixtures. Where's my fixtures? There it is. Right, and I'm going to say default photo as base 64.txt. Okay, so now I'm just gonna paste this in. You see how big it is? Yay.
Oh shit.
Yes. Right. Great. Awesome. Now we're gonna change our test to actually use this rather than this thing that we know will not be the case. Do you understand? This our base 64 thing will never look like this. The question is if I can now mimic this. Right. This is gonna be an array. I know that it's gonna be an array. So let's do a binding pry here. Binding pry. Right. I'm on a little bit on thin ice here, people. So bear with me. But it's fun to experiment, isn't it?
Sure.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you. Line 42. Line 42. So there was this fixture, right? Let's say fixture path. What is fixture path? Do we have fixture path? Yes, we do. We do have fixture path. And so fixture path, I've used fixtures before, haven't I? I showed you fixtures. Arrays read from fixture path. How do we do that? Right. How do I read from it? I've done this before with a mock, with a web mock, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we could do could we do some like file equals file dot read, and then fixture file fixture path, right? Path plus what was it called? We called the default photo as base 64. Now I regret that I gave it such a long name. You know, so you know, that's embarrassing, but that's the way it is. Right, plus this file read fixture right. Can we do that? I think so. No such. Right, because it needs yeah, it needs a slash here. Yay! Now we got it.
Nice.
Right. So we can just do this instead of this. instead of this, we will just do this. No, we will do this as an array, because we need this array. I'm like 100% or 99.9% sure that this will be an array. But mark my words. Say, will this be an array? Question mark, question mark. Is Thomas wrong or is he right? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I'm 99% sure. 0.9. Right. So now the image will be all of this, and now our test will actually fail because it can't read the properties that we send into this one. So let's see. Quit this. Right. And now we're gonna run this again, and we should get an error now. But we didn't. No, we're not running the right test. It's 36 now. 36. Right. Yes, we get this problem now. Okay. So, and now we're really mimicking, hopefully, you know, we're mimicking what we get. And whether this is an array or not will pretty much only have impact on the controller. So if it's not an array, then you don't have to have this dot first here. Do you understand? But that's the only difference. But the decoder will work in the same way. So we need to set a binding pry here. Right. We need to set that here because this is not working anymore, the decoder service, because before it was an object or a hash, you know, and everything was nice and dandy, but now we get this big ass big ass string. Okay, so the target is the object, right? We know that. That's the object that will have it attached, and target image is probably just nothing for now, right? It's nothing there. Well, can't even see that. But the file is now not the nice object that we had, but rather this massive thing. But look at this now. I don't know if you can see this, but you see it begins in a specific way. You see, it begins data image PNG base 64, and then it's a comma, and then comes the data. Let me show you this in the fixture. It's in, where is the fixture? There it is. You see, the beginning of this thing has data colon and then image PNG semicolon, and then it says base 64, and then there's a comma, and then there is all these, you know, things that are the actual image. Does that make sense?
No.
Yeah. So we can leverage on that. We can't have this. We need to get rid of this. But we need this because we need the extension. Do you understand? Later on, before we set this, we do that here in file extension. Right. So we need to rewrite this a little bit. So let's do that. And I will make it look like I've done this, you know, that's the most natural thing in the world. But it actually took a while to figure this one out. You know, leverage on other people's work, right? What we want to do is to say something like this. Now I'm going to introduce the image variable. So I'm going to say image equals split, or yeah, we're going to call this, you know, split. I'm going to call this method split base 64 string, and I'm just going to pass in the file here, and I'm going to create a new method. It's a private method, define. It's going to be also self split base 64 string, and we're gonna just pass in the string, right? So that's the file will be called string now in this method. Okay, you on board with that?
Yep.
Okay, so let's format our code. Okay, so here we want to use a little bit of regex.
I remember this one.
You do?
It's gonna. Yeah, this was quite going in the ear and then out of the other. This moment.
Okay, so we're gonna actually set a binding pri here, okay? Because we want to do this in the terminal a little bit here, okay? So image, and then we're just gonna instead of using file data, we're just gonna say image data, an image extension now, right? Okay, so because that's the only addition we need to do here, is that we need to split this to create this object that we kind of pretended that we got from our tests. Now we are mimicking the real life, where this will be actually a base 64 encoded string. Okay, so let's see if we can run this test again. So let's quit this, let's run it. Okay, so let's see if I can just create a variable that we for some reason called URI string, not sure why. Right, but okay, really. Let's no, sorry, it's not, no. Forget about this. So string equals string this. No, string will be this. Right, so and so let's see if we have regular expression last match. Let's see what reg. Oh, Thomas, come on, for God's sake. Regexp. That's what it's called. Dot last underscore match. Right. Match data. Okay, so that could be. Let's take a look at the first one. Yeah, let's take a look at the first one. Last match. Right, exactly. You see, now I get the image PNG here, right? And if we take a look at the encoder, that would be the second one. That would be the base 64. And if we take a look at the data, which is going to be a long one, that's going to be the third one. You see, and the beginning of this is free from this base 64 and encoder. It's image PNG and base 64. You see, I get this raw data instead. You get it?
Yeah,
right. Yeah, and then we can also take a look. You know, we got this one, the type, but we don't need image dot slash PNG. We just need the PNG, right? So we can say dot split. You've used split before recently, right? So split this, and now we get this array image slash PNG, and we only want the last one, right? So here we go. Now we have the PNG. So now we kind of have everything we need in order to
How this last match work, Thomas? I just didn't catch it. Like, so
last is the equivalent of
no. I mean, like last match. There's like 0, 1, 2, 3. I understand, but how does it like separate it? Like, how it understands where to separate?
because it now if you look at the okay, that's your question here. So this is the regex, right? Slash and the ending slash. That's everything. So whatever follows this in this string, right? You see data and then colon, and then you take everything that is in here right after that. Then you're looking after a semicolon, and then you're looking for the next thing, and a comma, and then the third thing. You understand?
Okay.
So 1,
Okay.
2, and then 3. This will what will be what happens here. Do you understand? Well, kind of understand, but you don't have. I mean, I'm not a regex expert in any way, so I don't want to make it, come across like I totally understand regex. I never cared, but this much I know, that if you use this kind of regular expression, then these values that are in the parentheses will be stored in this last match, and then you just say 1, 2, 3, and you get them because there are 3 of them. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now in our thing here we could say, let's see, I'm gonna grab this, and I can say, so if this turns out to be something, then we will have decoded string, decoded object, no, decoded image, decoded or split image, perhaps split image, split image data, let's call it split image data, equals an empty object to start with, and then we will just say we need those, well, we actually need the whole thing. So we will say, split image data type, and this is basic hash notation, right? You've been practicing hashes before, so you should be able to understand that. I can set this to any value, so I'm going to set this to regex. Achoo! Thank you. To last match 1, that would be the type, and then I need the encoder, so I will say split image data encoder, and that would be regex. Did I miss an equal sign? Yes, I did. Right. Last match, and that would be the second one, and then split image, and then we get the data itself, which we need to actually, set this for something. Regex last match, and that would be, oh sorry, did I say 3 there? I meant to say 2, and this will be the third one. But now I need the extension that I need to do work for a little bit more. Extension, right? Extension. Ah, there it is. And so we just do, regex last match, and that was 2. No, the first one, right? And then I just split with a slash that it contains, and then I say last. That's the one I need. And then I just need to return. I just need to return the split image. So I need to, I need to get out of the if statement, I guess. Right, I think so. We'll see. Right, so we get the image is the split thing, and we have the decoded data, this, and then we just do the regular thing that we did before, and hopefully this works.
I think it goes out of block scope, doesn't it, on line 20?
You think so?
I have a feeling.
I would say this.
That looks better now.
Yeah. Let's try that. I'm going to set a binding pry here because this will be after splitting the image, or the raw string.
Right.
And let's see what we get here. So let's quit this. And let's run this again. Right, so we just do image. And look, we have the type, and we have the encoder, and we have the data. And we are good to go.
Now it looks like the first thing you did there.
Yeah, and if it looks like the first one, then we should be good. You know, boom.
All right.
Pretty cool.
That is
Yep.
fine. Yeah.
Yep. And that is how you kind of hammer it out. First time around, it took me a little longer than this because I needed to really dive into how base 64 was built up and all of that stuff, and I wasn't really sure about certain things, and those objects have a tendency to be quite big, so it was a bit confusing to start with. But generally speaking, you know what, I'm just gonna do, actually I'm gonna just move this one way up here, so that should actually give us the extension at the end. Right, now you see, we see all these three stuff, right? And we have the dot here, right? So this it should be all good, right? And we are good to go on this one. Now, Christer, what are you saying?
Yeah, it was a lot. But with the decoder and the ARM64, what we call not ARM, that was my problem. Base 64 format. It was a lot to take in, but it was cool. But I have to go through this again because the last half an hour I had a battle with my eyes.
Okay.
To not close.
I got you. Me too. Me too.
I was really tired. And I tried to tag along with like notes. Then you went back and changed everything. And I'm like, fuck. All my notes are. All my notes I wrote down are like, fuck now.
Right.
Yeah, but it's cool.
All right.
Cool to see.
Okay. Basically, what you need to understand is that when images travel over the internet, they travel as strings. They are not postcards that are being sent, and so they are encoded in base 64 encoder. What base 64 is really not super relevant, but just accept that it does, and that a base 64 encoder contains this data and so on most of the time. Hence the if statement. Do you understand? So this one is not super foolproof, but it covers most of the cases that and especially if you're gonna code it yourself, then you should be okay. And you have to get those three pieces out from this string: the encoder, the data, the type, and the data itself.
And the regex, I didn't remember that shit. So
well,
it was nice to see that.
There will always be time to refresh that. Kim, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, a lot of stuff. Had to get my hands dirty with it. Just need to find a way to start on it. Like it feels like a way to go to just try it out a little bit. So yeah. Just need to get my hand dirty with it so I can learn it.
All right, good stuff. Lucas?
Yeah, I have a question actually. I don't know if I should just start out with that. Like,
I don't know.
Where are we actually storing something? Like, because eventually we're gonna store it to Amazon, you say?
Yeah.
But what's the line that actually stores it in? I guess ActiveStorage.
in temp folder. Well,
But is it when we do dot attach that's built in?
Yeah, that's the thing. It is built into Rails. ActiveStorage is built into Rails, and I think those settings are, well, they are pretty well documented here. Where is that? Here? No. Well, perhaps I closed it. Yeah, but it is in your local file, but it doesn't really matter because we'll never use it like that. In test environment, you're gonna use it like that. But that's pretty much the only time, perhaps in development when you do things. But we were building APIs, so we rarely start the server on a local host. Because and also these things are a little too big to manually test in Postman, so you won't be doing that sort of testing. You either try the functionality out in your automated tests, and then when you do hallway testing, you'll notice whether it works or not, because you will display that article, and if there's no image there or a broken link, that's an indication that the shit hit the fan. Right. Anyway, did you learn anything today?
Absolutely. There's I guess definitely a few moving parts, but it makes sense with that we kind of attach it to it instead of it becoming a part of it, a part of the database. I like how we use that functionality. Yeah, it's definitely cool.
Good. All right, Arun.
Yep, I think I was thinking about is like uploading one image is like this much process behind it, and it's like so. It's like when you don't know about the codings and everything, so you just think like, okay, just I'm uploading image. But now it's like when we're understanding, it's like clearing. It's like what a big process is going on behind it. It's like, and it's like one image travels in a string, as you said. It's like, so it's very interesting to know that, and how it's like it was before unknown world about that, how the things are traveling on the internet. It's now being more clear, and especially about now we are learning about image, so it's more clear, and same will be for the videos and everything. So yeah, I'm looking forward to use it soon, I think.
Good stuff. Awesome. Thank you very much for that. Now, Seva, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's like two-part here. It's like how to attach something, and then this working with the encoding. And I find like working with encoding very straightforward, but the attachment stuff, I don't know. I need to go through it again, probably try it out myself, because it's also kind of straightforward, but I don't know. I had some moments where I couldn't follow. Maybe because I wasn't like in the API for like 4 days, and I already started to forget Ruby or something. I don't know.
the thing is that I can relate to what you're saying, but trust me when I say line 8, that's the attachment. That's what you are doing to attach. Everything else before that is just something to you do things to have something to attach. You understand?
Yeah. It was like a setup for this, basically.
Right. And then so this is doing the job that we do in our factory using this. Do you understand? So in our factory, we don't have a base 64 string, so we don't have to decode anything. We just ask this file, which is a Ruby class, it's an IO class, just to read this default photo PNG, and then we're just using pretty much the same functionality. Article image, which is an attribute, attach, and boom, it attaches it. And we don't have to. We never see how it's done or anything like that anymore. It is more complicated when we get to string, because we need to prepare that data to be actually attachable. But once that is done, we just run this line of code, and then it's done. So that's the two moving parts here is this and then this.
Mhm.
You know, so 1 2
Yeah.
1 2 1 2. Luke.
Yeah, like everyone said, I think I've got a new found respect for drag and drop when you're adding images to things. But yeah, I mean, it's not straightforward, but I think once it's set up, then it's just reusable for the rest of the time. And I think it's just getting over that. It was a mountain of like a string to go through to get there. It looks maybe more intimidating than it actually is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be cool to get using it. I'm looking forward to seeing how it incorporates AWS into it and how we work on the front end as well.
Yeah. It's going to be straightforward. The AWS integration with ActiveStorage is a beauty, to be honest. Right.
So what we like to hear.
And David, your thoughts?
Yeah, everything is said already. I mean, if we want to put like hundreds of pictures, do we have to do for each one separately?
To one single article, like more than one?
Yeah, I mean slideshow maybe for an article, kind of.
Yeah, it's all documented. So
Okay.
I showed you the has one attachment solution at this point, but it's all in that functionality is also very, very straightforward. You basically tell this guy that it does not have one attached image, but many of them, right? In it's ActiveStorage, Rails, Edge. Just read on that documentation. Now the thing
it's
is
understandable, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I can't.
If we
I
try
can't,
it, so yeah.
So that's almost a philosophical question, and to that I can only quote Queen Yong Yin from Star Wars when he met Jar Jar Binks, and Jar Jar says, "I'm intelligent. I can speak," and no, he says something. I can speak, and Queen Yong is answering, the ability to speak doesn't make you intelligent, Yeah. So I can't really answer, whether you will understand that or not. I have
No, I mean it's understandable for one picture, but not for like several ones. That's
I have great faith in you and your ability to understand new concepts. So I think that you will be able to digest that documentation. I think it's pretty straightforward. But you are in a very lucky position in life because I am here to help you when you are not getting something, So that's gonna be definitely a possibility if you wish to attach more than one images to your articles. Then go ahead, try that. Go ahead and do that, and so on. The lowest hanging fruit here is to have one attached to start with, and then we'll see, basically, right? There are a few caveats because you want to serve this in your serializers later when you want to display those images and so on. But that would be the next step of this, I would say. Right. That pretty much covers it for me. I can promise you that setting this up for Amazon Web Services is pretty simple. That is not an 1 hour worth of, or hour and a half worth of streaming or discussing or so on. That's more of a 15-minute thing. So you should be good with that one as well at some point. And whenever you start working on that feature, just let me know and I will help you out with this. If you have a feature like this, I don't know. This was a generic talk. Okay, guys, thank you very much for your attention. 1 hour 49 minutes without a single break. I'm surprised that Christer is still awake, but I appreciate your.
I spaced away.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Luckily for you guys, there is a sleeping pill in the form of a YouTube recording coming your way, so it will be nice and dandy. Have a fantastic Friday afternoon. That does it for us. I will be online tomorrow morning not bragging, but continuing my endeavor to test smart contracts using MetaMask in Cypress.io. So be sure to wake up early, have your coffee, and tune in and have a slow wake up morning together with me on Twitch.
Okay.
Awesome.
Stay cool, guys. And my
Super
Twitch
cool.
viewers,
Thank you
thank you very much. Thank you. Have a great Friday afternoon. That does it for me. Cheers.
Bye bye.
See you.
Peace
Bye-bye.
out.
Adios.